Welcome to week 4, day 3 of our Build Balance Momentum program. Today's posture of the day is extended big toe hold. So this one's a little tricky one, especially for people that suffer from tight hamstrings or terrible balance, like me sometimes. So we're going to show you some modifications for this posture. Come into today with an open mind and I'm sure you will do great, so I'm not even worried. We're going to get started today at the front of our mats in mountain posture. So just basically a standing posture, palms to the front of your mat. Feet under hips, slight bend in the knees, spine long, shoulders back. And we're just going to ground ourselves here as we begin our practice. Try to find your center of gravity. You can almost feel like you're growing roots through your feet, extending into the mat. Deep inhale. Hold. Audible exhale out. Let's do one more of those. Deep inhale. Spine going long. Hold. Audible exhale out. We're going to start out today's practice with a modified sun salutation B. Since this is like a hip opening posture, we'll be modifying our warrior one with a low lunge, just to give you a heads up. So we're going to inhale our arms up into upward salute. Exhale, send our sit bones back as we come into chair pose. Spine long, arms up, shoulders wide and back. Exhale into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to try jumping back to the back of our mats. And so when I say jumping back, I mean pushing through the mat and jumping our feet back. So if this is too much for you, you can do what we have been, which is just walking our feet out. Otherwise, if you feel like giving it a go, you can inhale and exhale, jump back into chaturanga. So I figured I would just introduce you guys to this. For those of you that want a little more challenge as we're getting a little further into the program. But there's nothing wrong with just tiptoeing your feet back or walking your feet back as well. And I'll provide modifications either way. So let's start in high plank since I kind of interrupted our flow here. We're going to inhale as we come up onto our toes. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale our right foot up in between the feet, or in between the hands, dropping that left knee in towards the mat, untucking the toes, using our right hand to push the knee out and wide, getting a nice hip opening stretch. Deep breath here. Good, return back, press your right hand to the mat, untuck your left toes, push the knee up, come back into high plank. Inhale, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, roll into downward facing dog. Inhale as we bring our left foot in between our hands, dropping the right knee, untucking those right toes, using our left hand to push the left knee out and wide. Breathe through this posture a moment. Return to neutral, drop the hand down, tuck those right toes under, push that knee up, extend back into plank. Inhale onto your toes, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, roll into downward facing dog. We're going to try jumping to the front of our mats, or like I said, you can tiptoe or walk your feet in. For those of you that are looking for more of a challenge, let's see if we can bend those knees, spines nice and long, gaze toward the front of our mats. Inhale as we jump into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up into chair pose. Sit the sit bones back, knees behind our toes. And let's rise into mountain. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, palms in prayer. I find that the jump adds a little more cardio to the practice. So like I said, I wanted to give you that modification for those of you that may feel that your walking up to the front of the mat is getting a little old or stagnant and you want more of a challenge in your practice. Again, either way is perfectly fine and you have to listen to your body. So, okay, enough of that. Let's find our center here again in mountain pose. And I'm actually going to face you guys now, so feel free to open yourself up to the middle of the mat. And we're going to come into tree pose. So if you remember tree pose, for the modification, you can keep your toes on the mat and just press your heel up into your foot or into your other leg. Otherwise, you can bring it up into your shins, into your right shin, or you can even help it up into your inner thigh. But once again, we want to avoid putting it right on the knee joint because it can put added stress on that joint. And that joint we do not want to strain. So you can, if you feel like you need a little more grounding today, you can keep your palms at your heart center or even lengthen them down to the ground. If you're feeling a little more energetic and bouncy, you can rise up into tree pose, bring your palms together, or nice and wide, whatever is most comfortable for you today. I'm feeling like I need a little more grounding, so I'm going to keep mine at heart center. It's okay to wobble. Feel free to grab a chair if you need to. May help you in this pose and extended big toe pose today. So from here, we are going to grab our foot with our hand and bring it so our knee is over our hips. Keep that foot flexed, so pulling those toes in towards your shin, and we're gonna come into chair pose. So a modified chair pose. Sending those sit bones back like you're trying to sit in a chair. Feel that nice stretch through the hip as you sink in, pressing that knee down. Deep inhale. Exhale, let's forward fold in this posture. Straightening out that knee just a little bit, still keeping a micro bend in there. Ooh, the hip. Can definitely feel this. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. If you want, you can drop your foot at this time. Otherwise, I challenge you to slowly rise up while still balancing on one leg. See if you can manage. And bring your knee in, and we're just going to give our knee a nice little hug here. Nice little squeeze. When you are ready, we're going to grab our big toe, the outside of our big toe with our fingers, and wrap our hand around that big toe as we come into our posture of the day. I usually flip it so my knee is on the outside of my elbow here. And we're going to start with our right hand on our hip, but eventually we'll extend it out. So I like to use, when I'm first getting into this pose, I like to use my elbow to kind of open up that knee. It's okay if you fall. Like I said, I'm not the best balance, but open up that elbow, knee with that elbow. And we're going to raise our foot up, so in line with our knee here. And see, this is a modified version of the posture in itself right here. See if you can extend that leg out, opening that knee up nice and wide. Maybe you even extend your arm, your right arm out, and follow your fingers with your gaze. Feel free to keep a light micro bend in the knee. Or you can also, like I said, keep your knee bend like a nice generous bend in it as well. Also micro bend in this knee. And we'll slowly raise that down. Now I'll just quickly show you how to use a prop for modification, or how to use a strap for modification. So when your foot is up, you can kind of make a little loop with your strap, place that around your big toe, and kind of start with how we had it before, all over the place, and kind of use that to extend it out. And then this gives you like a little more wiggle room, so you don't feel like you're hunching over or like losing balance. It allows you to keep your center of gravity a little easily. So that's one way to use the strap. So feel free to use it that way if you would like. So let's try this one more time. Ground through that right foot. Inhale that left foot, or that left knee in towards our chest. Grab that toe, flip it so your elbow's on the inside. Bring the knee wide. Extend it out. Extend your arm out if you can, or you can be gripping a chair. Spine long. Let's bend the knee now. See if you can flip it so your knee is down. And then slowly lower our right hand to the mat, opening up that hip, opening up the left shoulder. Let's come into a modified half moon pose. So gaze high. Deep breath. You can bend that front knee as you release that hand, dropping that foot towards the mat, spinning so your right foot is facing the mat. Feel free to open up the chest once more. Now let's flip our palms so it's facing the back of the mat. Inhale, rise up. Come into Warrior Two. Do a nice little check of your arm positioning, then bring your gaze over your front fingertips. Slowly raise that front leg. Swing your arms behind your back as you kind of square your feet towards the middle of the mat. And we will slowly lower down into a wide-legged forward fold. Nice shoulder opener. Deep breaths. When you're ready, you can release your hands to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Feel free to walk your feet in now as we begin our flow on the other side. Slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll up into mountain posture once again. This time we are grounding through our left foot as we come into tree pose. Again, you can modify with your toes on the mat. On the shin, avoid the knee joint or bring it up into your inner thigh. If you want a real challenge, you can close your eyes. I can only do it for a couple seconds before I lose my balance, but it's always a good challenge to try. Connect with your breath. When you're ready, you can release that foot, tucking it in over your left knee and sinking into chair posture.
Bringing our arms up. See if you can sink a little lower, opening up that hip. This one always gets my hip burning. And release into a forward fold, straightening out that standing foot. Flexing your bent foot toward toes towards your shin. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. See if you can rise back up now, balancing on one foot. If not, feel free to grab your chair. Let's bring that knee in for a nice knee to chest hug. Ground yourself here. Feel free to grab your big toe. Now with your arms, making sure to keep your hand on the inside. Use that elbow and that arm to open up your hip. Maybe bring your foot up and put your left hand on your hip. Maybe you stay in this posture. Maybe your foot's like, or maybe your leg's in front of the body like this because your hip's really tight. That's okay too. Just see how far you can try to open it up. I know my hips are pretty tight. When you're ready, you can try to extend the leg, maybe bringing your left hand out, following it with your gaze slowly. Maybe you keep your leg bent, whatever is most comfortable for you. Maybe you use a strap, that's okay too. Now see if you can release it, flipping your foot over, knee towards the ground, and slowly lowering the left hand to the mat, opening up your hips, and pulling your right shoulder back, opening up and through the chest into modified half moon. Good, slight bend in that front leg as we release that foot, dropping it down to the mat. Pointing your front toes towards the mat now as you inhale, rise up. Extended side angle pose. Flip that palm towards your foot as you rise up into Warrior Two, sinking down into that front leg. Gaze over your fingertips. Deep breaths. Slowly straighten that front leg. Square your feet towards the mat. And let's see, put your hands on your hips and slowly hinge forward at the waist. Feeling that nice stretch through the hamstrings. Stopping when you're about parallel with the mat. Slowly release forward. Releasing your hands to the mat. Start to tiptoe your feet in, coming into a normal forward fold. Maybe you bounce those knees just a bit to get a little more comfortable. Widen those legs just a tad, and we're going to sink back into the yogic squat onto the balls of our feet. Again, feel free to put like a towel underneath if that's more comfortable. But we're only staying here a moment, so. Spine long, use your elbows to push your knees apart. booty down to the mat. And kind of turn so we're facing our mat. And we're going to do some what we call boat crunches. So we're going to come into like half boat here. So feet flex towards the shins, shins parallel to the mat. We're going to exhale as we slowly lower our lower backs to the mat and straighten out our legs. And then inhale back up into half boat. Exhale, point the toes into low boat. Inhale back up. Exhale. Inhale. Let's do 2 more of these. Inhale back up. Exhale down. We're actually going to stay here and let's just do slight pulses. Ooh, it burns. For 3, 2, 1, and release. As if we didn't work our abs enough today. We're going to bring our feet in towards our booties and come up into bridge pose. If you remember bridge pose, that's pushing our hips up towards the mat. So you can put your palms on the mat. You can inhale, push your hips up towards the ceiling. I like to almost walk my shoulders underneath me. You can either leave your palms on the mat or you can clasp them underneath. I like to clasp them. Try to make sure you're not straining your neck here. It's not too lengthened where your chin is towards your chest, but it's also not too scrunched. Let's try to find a nice neutral position for that. And push those hips up towards the ceiling. So exhale, let's lower down till our butts touch our hands, kind of gently resting. Inhale back up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale back up. Think about squeezing those knees in towards each other. Squeezing the glutes, but not overly squeezing where it flares out our knees, just enough of a squeeze to keep it active. Let's hold here. See if you can ground through that right foot as you raise your left foot up. Hold for a second and release. Exhale back down. Rest here a moment. Inhale back up. Ground through that left foot as you inhale your right foot up. Hold here for a moment. And release. And exhale back down, releasing your hands. And we're going to come into a supine pigeon, or a reclined pigeon. I'm going to scoot back just a bit. So a reclined pigeon is where you bring one leg, you flex those toes, so this is pointing, flex those toes toward your shins, dropping it down, kind of like we did in the chair pose, where it's your ankles resting just above your knee. And we're going to clasp the inside, or clasp the hamstring and pull that knee in towards our bodies, keeping that foot, both feet nice and flexed and active, and pulling that knee in towards our chests. Feel that hip stretch. And release that foot back to the mat. Uncross your leg. Lift your left leg up now. Cross it over. Flex those feet as you pull your hamstring in, pulling that knee in towards your chest again on this side now. Again, toes nice and active. Oh yeah, this is such a good stretch. And we'll release that down. Release both legs. And we'll just come into Shavasana now. So outstretch those legs if you need to. Arms at your sides, relaxed. Allow your body to relax. Allow your hips to unwind. Notice any soreness in your hips or your hamstrings after today's practice. Imagine your breath flowing through those areas on your inhale and releasing any aches or pains or tension or anything out of those muscles on your exhale.